Welcome to the AI with Arun show. Today we are breaking down one of the most sophisticated military operations in history, Operation Absolute Resolve. Before we get started, a request to consider becoming a member of AI with Arun show. You will see the link in the description below. On January 3, 2026, the world watched as U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. But we aren't here to talk about the politics or the policies. We are here to talk about the machine that made it happen. We're going to look at the Technocratic Coup, how the U.S. military combined artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, and stealth aviation to execute a raid that was mathematically precise. By the end of this video, you'll understand how modern wars are won in server rooms long before a shot is fired. First, we have to understand how warfare has changed. In 1989, when the U.S. went after Manuel Noriega in Panama, they sent 27,000 troops and invaded the whole country. That was the old way. Operation Absolute Resolve was different. It was what experts call a technocratic coup. The goal was kinetic decapitation, removing the leadership without destroying the country's infrastructure or fighting a massive ground war. This relied on a doctrine called JADC2, Joint All-Domain Command and Control. Think of it like a hive mind, sensors in space, hackers in cyber command, and pilots in the air all sharing data instantly to create a single kill chain. It wasn't about having more soldiers, it was about having better data. So how did they find him? The answer starts years ago with something called Project Maven. Originally launched in 2017, Project Maven uses artificial intelligence to scan full-motion video from drones. In the past, human analysts had to watch thousands of hours of footage manually. Now, computer vision algorithms do it automatically. For this operation, the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, JAIC, processed petabytes of data, satellite images, phone calls, and internet traffic. They moved from forensic intelligence, figuring out what happened yesterday, to predictive intelligence, figuring out what will happen tonight. They were literally predicting the future using math. This AI built what we call a pattern of life, POL. This is where it gets scary. The intelligence community wasn't just tracking Maduro, they were tracking everything around him. The algorithms looked at the logistics of his household, tracking deliveries of specific food items, and even details about his pets. They analyzed data from smart power meters to see which room in a building was using air conditioning at 3 a.m. Why? Because Maduro changed where he slept every night to avoid assassination. But by analyzing energy spikes and waste disposal schedules, the AI could calculate a probability score of where he was sleeping with incredible accuracy. While the AI crunched the numbers, the NSA, National Security Agency, and NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, mapped the world. The NSA used social network analysis. They mapped the phones of his drivers, aides, and family. If the driver's phone moved, they knew the target was moving. They also used AI to scan for indicators and warning signals, like a sudden spike in encrypted radio traffic that happens right before a VIP travels. Meanwhile, the NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, created 3D virtual models of the target buildings. They used synthetic aperture radar, SOAR satellites. These are satellites that can see through clouds and even detect interference inside buildings, effectively letting operators see through walls before they even arrived. Satellites are great, but they orbit the Earth. They can't stay in one spot forever. To fix the target, the U.S. used the RQ-170 Sentinel. You might remember this as the Beast of Kandahar. It's a stealth, flying-wing drone. Venezuela has advanced Russian air defenses, S-300s, that would shoot down a normal drone in seconds. But the RQ-170 is stealth. It loitered over Caracas for hours, maintaining a persistent stare. This ensured that in the minutes between the last satellite pass and the helicopter arrival, the target didn't slip away. It beamed real-time video directly to the command centers. Now let's talk about the start of the raid. It didn't start with an explosion. It started with silence. At exactly 2 o'clock local time, 1 minute before the helicopters arrived, the power grid in Caracas died. This wasn't an accident. U.S. Cyber Command had pre-positioned malware, known as logic bombs, into the SCADA systems of the Guri Dam. Why do this? 2 reasons. First, it killed the enemy's communications. Second, U.S. Special Forces use the most advanced night vision in the world, GPNV G-18s. By turning off the city lights, they blinded the defenders, while keeping 100% visibility for themselves. It was a massive tactical advantage. While the lights went out on the ground, space assets were busy above the atmosphere. General Dan Kane called this creating a pathway overhead. Space Command ensured that the GPS signals for U.S. helicopters were perfectly accurate, while likely jamming the GPS for enemy drones and missiles. They also created a massive data tunnel. We're talking about streaming high-definition video from helmet cameras in a foreign country instantly back to the White House, with zero lag. That requires massive satellite bandwidth, managed in real time. To protect the helicopters, the U.S. unleashed an electronic storm. Aircraft like the EA-18G Growler flew nearby, blasting jamming signals at Venezuelan radar sites. This is called stand-in jamming. Simultaneously, F-35 Lightning II fighters used their sensors to passively detect enemy radar emissions. They shared this data across the Link 16 network, creating a safe corridor for the helicopters to fly through without being targeted by missiles. Don't let the surgical nature of the raid fool you. This was overwhelming force. Over 150 aircraft from 20 different bases were involved. We had B-1B Lancers bombing military infrastructure to stop a counterattack. We had F-22 Raptors sweeping the skies to make sure no enemy jets could take off. Everything was compressed into a window of less than 30 minutes. It was a level of violence and speed that overwhelmed the enemy's decision-making loop instantly. The actual capture was handled by the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Night Stalkers. They flew MH-47G Chinooks and MH-60M Blackhawks. These pilots flew incredibly low, about 100 feet above the water, using terrain-following radar to hide below the radar horizon. They also used weather as a weapon. They waited for a rolling window, a specific weather pattern where clouds hid the high-altitude jets, but the air was clear at low altitude for the helicopters. They used nature to hide their approach. The target wasn't the presidential palace. It was a residence inside Fuerte, Tiuna, a military fortress. The operators breached the building using advanced thermal breaching tools, basically high-tech blowtorches that cut through steel instantly. They moved so fast that the targets couldn't reach their secure steel rooms in time. Once they secured the individuals, they didn't just guess. They used handheld biometric scanners to scan fingerprints and irises on the spot, matching them against a database to prove 100% that they had the president and not a body double. Getting in is hard. Getting out is harder. They used a strategy called the lily pad. Helicopters flew the captives to the USS Iwo Jima, an amphibious assault ship waiting just off the coast in international waters. This served as a floating base. From there, they were flown to Guantanamo Bay and finally to New York. That famous video of the perp walk in New York wasn't just for news. It was a calculated psychological operation to show the world the reach of U.S. law. Let's summarize the kill chain, because this is the key takeaway. 1. Find. AI analyzes patterns of life. 2. Fix. Stealth drones keep eyes on the target. 3. Track. NSA monitors phone signals. 4. Target. Satellites map the building in 3D. 5. Engage. Cyber kills the lights. Kinetic teams breach the door. 6. Assess. Biometrics confirm the ID. This entire cycle happened in real time. What does this mean for the future of warfare? It means the end of sanctuary. If you are an adversary of a technological superpower, walls don't matter. Bunkers don't matter. AI turns your daily habits, your grocery list, your trash, your power usage, into a homing beacon. And with the convergence of cyber and kinetic warfare, the next war won't start with a bang. It will start with your power going out, and by the time you realize why, the operation is already over. Operation Absolute Resolve was a watershed moment. It proved that a technocratic coup is possible, using data and speed to decapitate a regime without a full-scale invasion. It was a victory won by pilots and operators, but it was engineered by algorithms and code. If you enjoyed this deep dive into military technology, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching AI with Arun show.